When was the last time you checked your analytics? Most of us usually feel one of three things when we do: pride, panic, or straight confusion. Like, oh wow, my downloads are up. I must be doing great. Or, why is this down? What did you do wrong? Or, what the heck does that even mean? Is that just me? Probably not. I know it's not because I get questions about this all the time. Friend, if your piece rises and falls with your dashboard, we have to have a conversation because KPIs matter, numbers matter, stewardship matters. Today, we're talking about what KPIs small businesses like you should be tracking in 2026, what doesn't deserve the emotional energy we give it, and how to make sure our growth is aligned with what the Lord is actually asking us to build. Let's go. Truth time. When's the last time you raised your hands for a swift kick in the pants? Well, I'm the no-nonsense type friend who's going to tell you when you have food in your teeth. So let's get right to it. This is your infusion of sacred and secular, calling you higher into who God created you to be, exploring how intimately faith applies to every part of your life and how you can live that faith every single day in the marketplace. I felt the tension of separation of church and state. I've been one of the few women at a table of men for decades, and I've stood my ground. Are you ready to do the same? These tools, resources, and interviews are meant to do just that. I'm Jan Touchberry, and it's time to share Her Faith at Work. Hey friends, welcome back to Her Faith at Work. If you are new here, I'm Jan, and I'm really glad that you're here. You may or may not have noticed that this is dropping a day late this week because I have a cold. Also why I sound so nasally. But you know what? I feel better today and I'm showing up. So that's what we do when we're business owners. We do the hard thing. Today, we're talking about KPIs. If you don't know what that means, it's a key performance indicators. We're going to get a little nerdy today, okay? This episode is for the woman who is showing up consistently, is trying to grow with integrity, but secretly she may be wondering if she's paying attention to the right numbers. Or maybe you're not paying attention to the numbers at all. But in 2026, we have more metrics and more dashboards, more data, more opinions, and yet so many business owners are still overwhelmed, underpaid, and second guessing themselves. So today, my hope is that we're going to simplify all this a little bit. We're going to get grounded, we're going to get honest, but we're also going to get a little practical, okay? Before we jump into all KPI talk, I do want to have a little heart to heart because the Lord and I had a heart to heart on this a couple of weeks ago. You have to know what's working in order to be a good steward of what God is calling you to. But if you're anything like me, I know I can start obsessing over the wrong things. And I'm a super competitive person. I know that if something is graded on a scale of 1 to 100, I'm going to break my back trying to climb that scale until I'm at the top. It's just the way that the Lord wired me. I'm not saying it's right, but that's it. It is reality. And I don't think I'm alone in this. The cautionary tale here is this. I find myself opening my analytics more than I'm opening my Bible. And I'm checking my numbers more than I'm checking in with the Lord to see if growth is where it needs to be. And girlfriend, that is not okay. Analytics are important for your business, but they make a terrible God. So as we launch into this, just know that it is an important thing in your business, but it's not the most important thing when it comes to your business being successful. Okay? Now that we have that out of the way, let's get a little nerdy, shall we? First, how the heck do you know if a metric actually matters? Not every number is a KPI, a key performance indicator. A key performance indicator is only key if it's going to change what you do. We can look at numbers all day long, but if it's not going to change something that you're doing in your business, you probably don't need to count it, right? Here's a simple filter. A metric is worth tracking if it does at least one of these things. Number one, it leads to action. Like, would you change something based on it? Or number two, it ties to revenue or retention, money or relationships, right? Number three, it shows movement through the client journey. So you're going from stranger to subscriber to a client. If it just makes you feel good or bad, but it doesn't change your behavior, that is not a KPI. It's more like trivia. And trivia should not be running your nervous system. So, core KPIs, what does that mean? I want you to put your CEO hat on for a minute. If you're in business, these really are some non negotiables that you're going to have to start counting if you're not already. Okay. Number one, revenue and profit. It's not just what's coming in, it's more about what you're keeping. You have got to know your monthly revenue. You have to know your expenses, and you have to know your net profit. I know for a really long time, I felt great because I was having regular, consistent income coming in. But then when I looked at what I was spending on all of my monthly subscriptions and outsourcing and all of the things, I was barely making any money, you guys. And I'm like, okay, something has to change because revenue without margin is just hustle in a fancy outfit. It's not what I'm here for. It's probably not what you're here for. So we need to make sure we're tracking the right things and we are going in eyes wide open because God can bless you with increase, but you still got to know if you're profitable. Okay? Are you keeping the increase? Number two, lead flow. You have got to get clear on how many qualified leads you're getting per month. Where are they coming from? That's a big one. I hear all the time. Well, I got a lead. Where did she come from? I don't know. Did you not ask? Do you not have a way to ask? You need to know if they're coming from your podcast. Are they coming from a blog? Are they coming from a referral? Are they coming from an email? You have to know where they're coming from because that's another way that you can know what's working and what's not, right? If leads dry up, sales dry up. We do not get to skip this part. You got to pay attention to your leads. Number three is conversion rates. This is where your clarity beats volume. You want to know what leads are turning into calls, what calls are turning into clients, what subscribers are turning into buyers. If conversion is low, the answer is rarely post more. It's usually say it clearer. And then number four, you have to look at retention and referrals. You need to pay attention to repeat clients, testimonials, and referrals. If people stay, succeed, and send other people, that, my friends, is fruit. And those are things that you need to be paying attention to. All right? So I want to talk to the long form content creators about what KPIs matter. Okay. These are for people who have a podcast or a blog. The first four that I talked about, those are general business. Everybody's got to be doing those. These next two, they're for bloggers, podcasters. Okay. What is going to matter more than downloads or page views? Downloads and traffic, they're not meaningless, but alone they are not going to give you the full story. So here's what matters more. Number one, is your email list growing? Your content's primary job is usually to move people onto an owned platform, aka email. Ask, are the episodes leading to subscribers? Which posts drive opt-ins? Which topics are attracting the right people? Number two, content to action conversion. All right, did anybody click on it? Did anybody sign up? Did anybody inquire or buy? And to go back to the counting people, if you don't know where your people are coming from, how are you going to know all this? You can't know the content to action conversion if you're not asking how people are finding you. Okay, number three, engagement that signals trust. You're going to look at podcast retention, meaning are they finishing or what portion of your episodes are they listening to? Are they listening to 20% of it and then popping off? Are they listening to 89% or 100% of it? And you can see all of that in the back end of Apple Podcasts, okay? And then what about if you're a blogger, time on page? How long are they taking to read it? If it's a 4-minute read and they're only staying on the page for a minute, they're not reading very much. You can see all of time on page stuff in your Google Analytics. And then you want to look at email replies, not just opens. Your open rate is important. We want to know how many people are actually clicking on it. But with advances in some of the new email platforms, they have these automatic opens. And so it's kind of skewing those numbers. But when people are actually replying to you, it shows that they're actually reading what you sent. And it's important enough for them to take time out of their day to hit reply. And then you want to remember that trust is the bridge between content and cash. Hallelujah. Okay, let's talk vanity metrics. I'm going to lovingly call some things out right now. All right. Followers. You can have 10,000 followers and zero clients, 10,000 followers and zero clients. You need to track email subscribers and lead quality instead. Let's talk about downloads. A downloaded episode that leads nowhere is just a bunch of noise. So you need to track calls to action clicks and opt-ins. Doesn't matter that it doesn't mean that you don't want your follower count to go up and your downloads to go up. It just means that the way that you weight them is very different than you weight the number of email subscribers and the calls to action and opt-in things, okay? How about if you're on social, likes and saves? They feel really great, but they're not going to pay your mortgage. You've got to track conversations, replies, and conversions. All right? Because going viral with a video does not pay the bills, but conversion does. And then posting frequency. This is one that I hear over and over again. And it's a little cringy to me at this point, right? You've got to be posting. You must be posting. You have to be visible. You have to be out there for people to know you. Well, I'm here to tell you that activity is not progress. Fruit is progress. So whether you're posting on social media or whether you're sending an email or whether you're doing a podcast, if you're not seeing any fruit from these things, it's time that you stop just wasting your time and you start asking yourself, look, if I've been doing all this stuff on a regular basis, but I'm not seeing business growth, what do I need to change? What do I need to change in order to shift this? And the best person for you to ask that to is the Lord. You take your data, but you ask the Lord. So, how do I track my KPIs? So glad you ask. I'm going to get super practical for a minute because one of the biggest mistakes that I see next to not tracking KPIs is tracking KPIs in too many places. You've got a spreadsheet for this and a dashboard for this and a note for this and random screenshots for this. I was doing that. I was I was in the chaos. But then I found a platform called NG. Hallelujah. So thankful for NG. NG pulls all of your key marketing and business metrics into one place so that you can actually see what's happening without drowning in data. Instead of bouncing between platforms like I used to do, I can look at everything in one spot. My leads, my conversions, my content performance, my growth trends. You may say, okay, Jan, well, I've got a great spreadsheet for that. Awesome. Use one spreadsheet for all of that. I am not a spreadsheet girl. Quite frankly, spreadsheets give me hives. It's not how my brain works. They're difficult for me. But NG puts it in either a pie graph or a line graph. There's different ways that you can view your KPIs so that your brain can actually understand them. And so for me, it was very, very helpful to have everything together in a way that my brain can comprehend. It matters because clarity on these things is going to reduce anxiety. And fragmentation for me just creates overwhelm. And I don't want to live that way anymore. I don't want to run my business that way anymore. The more simplified and cohesive it can be, sign me up. You can't steward something that you can't clearly, you cannot steward something that you can't see clearly. And with NG, I have it all on one page. It's awesome. I can customize it to what I need to track for my business. And it has so many more features. Like I can create campaigns and I can create social media schedules and more and more and more. They're adding more features almost on a monthly basis. It's crazy. I did a whole episode with one of NG's founders And if you'd like to listen to that, you can go back to episode 56. If you are thinking, that sounds pretty good, I think I might like to give it a try. Well, you can grab a free trial for 14 days with my link at jantouchberry.com/marketing. jantouchberry.com/marketing. There's no pressure. It's just a tool I actually use, and I always like to recommend things that actually are working well for me. NG is one of them. Okay, enough about the NG commercial. I want to talk to you about a simple KPI rhythm that you can use, something that's going to feel doable. All right. So let's start with weekly. You can spend 10 to 15 minutes, super short, right? Track your new leads, email list growth, sales conversations, top converting content. Maybe do a quick prayer check-in with your people. All right. Once a week. Next, monthly, you're going to track revenue and profit, offer performance, and then content to action. And then quarterly, maybe you're looking at your client journey review. Where is the process breaking down? What's working? What's leaking? But every single day, we have got to make sure that we're going to the Lord first and asking Him what's next. In His word, He says that He will order our steps. And when we do that, you can guarantee that what you're doing is not fruitless, but will be fruitful because the Lord is leading and guiding. It's simple, it's sustainable, and it's fruitful. So to wrap all this up, I know it's been a lot. Just remember, we're not supposed to ignore numbers. We need numbers, but they cannot become your God. It means we hold them with open hands. We track what matters. We want to be excellent. We want to know our numbers, but we cannot let them define us. We have strategy in one hand, obedience to the Lord in another, and that, my friends, is how we can build something that heaven can really bless. Have a great week. Thanks for joining me for another episode of Her Faith at Work. If the Lord put someone on your heart that you think needs to hear this message today, will you just smash that share button? And if you haven't already followed the show, I would love for you to do that. Super extra points if you hop over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a review. That helps the algorithm pick us up and drop us right in the AirPods of people that need to hear what the Lord is saying to them today. I hope you'll come back for the next episode of Her Faith at Work. The podcast comes out every Wednesday. And if you look down in the show notes, I've even got a couple of free downloads for you that I think you will really enjoy. With that, have a great week. See you next time.